coming to get you, Barbara.
Oh, the devil. The devil.
The power of the dark side.
Hey guys, welcome to Flix and Comix. JoJo here. So today I'm going to be doing a review on Batman Year One by Frank Miller and art by David Mazzucchelli. This was the first time I had ever read this classic, and you guys know I'm on a Frank Miller kick as of late. I came into this scene during the Nightfall era in the 90s, so this wasn't a part of my wheelhouse, and I just feel like I need to jump into it and see what all the fuss is about. So right off the bat, I just want to say that I really enjoyed this story, which was quite a surprise to me because, you know, after having read some of his other Batman stories, you know, it's just not my cup of tea. And so reading this was kind of a breath of fresh air for me. I think that he nailed it with this. He did a great job in elaborating the origin story that had already been told in the Golden Age and added so much more to it and so much depth, which I really enjoyed. And I love the noir-esque pulp style that he incorporated into it. It just fit really well. And something I kind of loved about this was that there was no arch nemesis. There was no supervillain. The main antagonist was actually the corrupt GCPD, which was quite interesting to me, but also not that surprising because we all know that Miller does love to include that theme of, you know, corruption in the police department. So he's done it with all his other books, mostly. So Batman books, that is. Even though it's considered a superhero story, the story is very much grounded in reality. We have the main characters, Gordon, whose story is paralleled by Bruce Wayne's in this. Both those characters do not have superpowers, but their goals are the same. They just go about it differently. They're both starting up around the same time. They go through their failures, they go through their successes. So it's really cool that we follow both of these characters over a year time span, and we start to see those monthly timestamps. It works well as a storytelling device because not only is it more realistic, but you get to see the characters evolve and you see that passage of time. Those timestamps really help the flow of the story. It's not your typical beginning, middle, end, you know, exposition, climax, and resolution type of thing. It's more of like you're getting little incidents throughout the year that have happened that affect both parties and how they affect each other. And by the end of it, they kind of converge. And it's really cool. I really like the structure of the story. I think it's different. It's not something you see all the time. I will say though, I thought it was a little odd that they focused a lot more on Gordon in this. You get to know Gordon a lot better than you ever have. And that comes with good things and bad things too. Like we get to see some of his character flaws, and that's something I've never seen in the books I've read. So that was really interesting. I mean, he cheated on his wife pretty much, and it's also another interesting theme that Miller explored in this is the way that we perceive superheroes is that they're always the good guys. And actually I read the afterword in this book by Mazzucchelli, who mentions this same theme. You just assume that all the good guys are good guys, but you know, in this I love how they explore that idea that that's not always necessarily the case. You know, I'm not saying Gordon's a bad person. He's a great person, but he's human, and so is Bruce Wayne. And they have their faults, and they struggle with those faults. And I guess that's why I love Batman stories. His internal struggle, not just about like his parents dying and all that, but like other facets of life. In a way, he's a little bit of a sociopath, right? And antisocial, but then he has to have this facade of being the most social guy in the world and being kind of like a slut too. Even though that's not truly him, you know, it's a facade. But like, it's really interesting how, you know, these stories, especially this one, kind of bring that to light and kind of show that, you know, superheroes aren't perfect, and it's about getting through that and about recognizing that those faults don't necessarily make you a bad guy or a villain, and that you still know what you're fighting for, right? You're still trying to clean up the streets of Gotham, you know? So yeah, I really like that little grit and reality that was brought into this story, and it just hurt so much to see Gordon struggling through the ranks like that. But he struggled because they made it hard for him, not due to his own inadequacies. It was quite the contrary, actually. They were calling him a hero cop because he was that good, but he was struggling because of, you know, the corrupt GCPD, and they made it very difficult for him to do anything and would try to blackmail him and stuff. Going further into the Mazzucchelli afterward, I really liked that he mentioned that there's a fine line, you know, it's really tough to create that realism within the superhero genre because superheroes are fantastical. It's hard to bring that and make that relatable. But yeah, Mazzucchelli's art was fantastic in this. I really loved that they stayed true to the like golden age style. Overall, loved this. Miller's best in my opinion thus far for Batman. I do wish there was a little more on the Batman side of things, as they, you know, focused on Gordon quite a bit. But if you guys haven't read it, I would highly suggest you guys read it. You know, it was suggested to me by so many people that I just had to finally get around to doing it, and I'm glad that I did. So yeah, next Miller book that I read will probably end up being Daredevil, Born Again. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. I don't know when I'm gonna get around to reading it though, so anyways, guys, if you like this video, give me a like or subscribe or both. I don't hate it. And you can catch me on Twitter and on Instagram at Flix and Comix. And I guess I'll catch you over there. Later.